Good morning, everyone. It's such a pleasure to welcome you to another episode of Invisible Threads of Kindness. Today I am sitting and you may hear all of these beautiful sounds around me of birds and streams and insects as I just recently landed and came to visit Costa Rica for some time. So we have this beautiful surrounding energy and these sounds that really are inspiring me so profoundly. And indeed today we are diving and exploring the power of sound. And I'm doing this with Heiko Dijker, who's an Amsterdam-based tabla player, composer and producer. He has been touring and is still touring around the world with enjoying wonderful collaborations with incredible musicians of great masters like Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasya and Pandit Birju Maharaj. And he left Holland at a very young age and he found his true calling and of soul in music. He was hitchhiking around the world on his own and was drawn into classical Indian music. So after years of traditional training with Shri Bhaswaraj Bhendigeri in India, he was living in a small clay hut and doing saintly practice in the Himalaya. And he continued to learn with grandmaster Faiyaz Khan in the Guru-Shisya system, which is a master-disciple system. For over 10 years, he was totally absorbed in his sadhana, practicing and listening only classical Indian acoustic music. Heiko has joined his traditional skills with composing and music production and has created several albums. He has recorded artists like Shankar Mahadevan, Meeta Pandit, Saskia Laroo and Ravichandra Kulur for his productions. He holds a master degree in classical tabla of the Rotterdam conservatory, and he has been working with great Indian classical and not so classical musicians and dancers, as well with fusions of traditional and innovative music and dance. To me, it is a great pleasure and a great honor to just have a beautiful conversation with Heiko today and dive deeper, explore the power of sound and the idea of vibrational listening and how we can really attune and learn from hearing, from deep listening and understanding the calling of our inner voice. So, with great joy to share this with you today, and thank you for your presence. I would like to start our meeting by, first of all, really thanking you for your presence and your time. And it's just been so beautiful to witness you in your art when I met you in Venice. And it's really inspired me, it really enchanted me, that meeting and hearing the music and the sounds that were produced, and it really felt very sacred. And so I'm very grateful that we're having this conversation now and that we're going to explore more the rhythms of sound and the importance of sound, the value of sound. But also something that really came up before, like when I was thinking about our conversation, was the idea of kindness and what it means. And so I would really like to start by speaking about kindness and what it means to you, how it presented itself on your journey and how it guided your journey, because I believe yours is really a journey of kindness.
I like to speak from the top of my head, and first of all, of course, thank you warmly for inviting me. Thank you for meeting me. Thank you for the wonderful prayer we did just at the beginning of this. It's really special. I think you should include it into the podcast. It's really sets a beautiful tone. But as I said, I like to speak from whatever comes to my feelings. And yes, if we see God kindness and into my life, I mean, we all experienced kindness from a very young age. I mean, first of all, of course, the kindness of our parents, hopefully, who welcome us to this earth and care for us. Sometimes the care is maybe not so good, but in my case, I'm really grateful to my parents for their kindness and warmth, and my mother for feeding me from the beginning of life. That is already like a very kind action, and so on. But the the first thing that came to mind for the kindness on my journey into myself coming more back to my true self, because I think that's the journey of life. We can only come closer and be more ourselves, yes. Which is all we come ourselves to this earth, and we work all life to become more truly ourselves. But the first thing that with the kindness came to me is like on my first journey when I finished my high school. I left because I was searching for more a true path in life, not the path that was taught by me in school or parents or whatever. I needed to step out of the laid out path. So instead of going to university, I went on this journey, and I wanted to discover the world, see different ways of thinking, different ways of interaction, different ways of behaving to each other. And on this journey, I found, particularly in Iran, Pakistan, and India, I was met with so much welcoming, warm love and kindness that I had not experienced anywhere in the world before, and it humbled me incredible. And especially the poorest of the poorest people, they gave their last food, they gave their home, they gave basic just love and sharing a space of being together in a very kind way. And that truly humbled me and opened my heart to actually more kind of also even a religious sense. I mean, those countries are religious. In Pakistan, it was particularly the Sufi shrines of old mystic masters. And I had no idea, but some people took me to these places. And when I came there, that warmth really opened me to, a spiritual, religious consciousness, maybe of a, I will call it now, when I look back, I can explain and describe more what I've experienced in all those years and places and revelations. So to me, a more spiritual sense or religious sense of an all-creative, all-pervading, loving energy is what I got there. Before that, when I was in Holland growing up, I was really not believing in God. I was like, there can't be a God. If there's war and fighting and killing and such bad things and heavy diseases, I really refused. No, it can't be. There cannot be a God if life is like that. But when I came to these places and had all these beautiful, kind souls giving me so much love and warmth, I really also could sense and feel inside myself, no, there is a all-pervading, creative, loving energy. We can call it God, we can call it Allah, we can call it Shiva, we can call it Buddha, we can call it all, even without name, absolutely. But that was the first time really kindness opened my being.
I love it. I love what I feel when you're speaking, kind of like kindness being this expression of sacredness through the human and through also the non-human, because I mean there is a lot of kindness in also the other forms that don't have a human form. but to also really feel the empathy and the warmth and the benevolence through the human. So kind of allowing this God to express through us and to expand to others and to give to others. And I think there is a big difference between someone who doesn't have a lot of financial resources and someone who, though, has a huge amount of spiritual resource inside and a lot of love and a lot of goodness to give to others. And knowing that that is also a form of nourishment. It's something that nourishes us as much as other forms of physical resources that we have. And they kind of also, I feel like they come together in a way. Like when the more we can give from that place of godliness, let's say, of our own divine version, the more we replenish ourselves of all resources, and we kind of bring in all that we need to expand this into the world. At least that's how I'm feeling, but maybe you can tell a bit more about your experience as well.
Yeah, it's a very interesting approach, but listening to you, absolutely, I completely agree that for me, at least is my experience, is the more I've followed this particular path of, actually, for me, it's very much of, I had to learn how to listen to my deeper inner voice, which is, on a side note, there's a story about that I was in India in the Himalaya living for a while, and there was a day that I had this urge to go and walk. I had to go and walk into the mountains. You know, I was doing my practice, but there was this inner calling like, no, you have to go and walk. So I went up the mountains, above the tree border, and at some point I was really tired, sat down next to a river, and a Tibetan Lama came down from the mountains. And we met, and I offered him some food, and we sat down and talked, and in little broken English, and he was like, why people are all reading books, you know, religious books and all this, and Buddha is not a book, Buddha is not paper, Buddha is not ink, Buddha is a voice, it's an inner voice. And it was very simple, the way he said it, and it's a simple sentence and a simple concept, but most Buddhist people really speak very kind. I must say Tibetan Lamas, and I just came from Ladakh, where people are so kind. And so that really stuck with me, and that inner voice is what I always come back to and try to trust. And from that point, I love to always speak. So the inner voice is the place where all this comes from, yes. And then whenever I've been doing that, all things around move also, I must say, definitely. Things fall into place in my life, what is good for my life.
Yes.
And I'm very grateful for that. And I hope then again, because I follow this, you can be nice and giving to others. So it is a sharing and rebouncing element. But also when I don't follow my inner voice, things actually don't go as well. It's very interesting. And it's a very subtle, fine line.
Yes. It's, I mean, it's incredible how, what you said at the beginning, so that we spend our whole life kind of stripping back all the layers of ourselves that are not ourselves, and to go back to the essence. So I feel like sometimes it's a path to essentialism, to taking off and to go back to the core and remain only with that essence, right? Only with that nature, only with what really moves us and what we're really inspired to do in this world and to give and to exchange. That is our essence. And I feel like that essence that is interwoven with everything, that it's interwoven with the whole of the spirit or God or the sacred, or as we want to call it, is then the voice that is guiding you to take the steps. But it's so outside of your boxes. So it's so outside of like what your thinking mind would tell you to do, or what your thinking mind wants you to do, the logical pathway. And so, as you say, it's just like, oh, now I really feel like going to the river, or sitting down, or I don't know, talking to this person, or even not doing something. Maybe right now I just feel like just being here and doing something completely different than I would expect myself to do. And definitely then things are just so synchronistically brought together. They become resonant. And I mean, your path is a path of resonance. It's also a path of sound. You're a wonderful musician. And I was writing down that something that I wanted to really dive deep with you is that sound is at the core of the universe. So the body is listening and sensing vibrational frequencies, and is an instrument to attune and ripple cosmic wisdom into the surrounding world. And it is for me a way that I wish to honor the importance of sound and music through my own journey, and the immense value of attuning ourselves to specific frequencies that awaken our inherent ability to heal our physical, emotional, and spiritual bodies. So that allows us to expand our understanding. And so immersing ourselves in sound is a way to learn through direct vibrational listening. And this is something I want to open more about through this conversation, that sense of vibrational listening and the sound at the core of the universe.
It's a vast topic, a very beautiful topic, a fascinating topic, a very much, I think, also misunderstood topic, or misinterpreted, or how to say, yeah, like there's a lot of sound healing things going on now, which I think is great. But I think there's a tremendous responsibility in, as well as from the performer, as well as from the listener, to go to the depth that you're describing, because absolutely that aspect is there, and it's right there available for all of us, which is amazing. I don't think we have truly discovered, whether it be scientifically or not so scientifically, but we don't have it truly discovered, I think. I've experienced it in this particular healing sense, and this consciousness of what sound truly deeply can do. I've touched it only a few times in my life, and I'm super grateful for that. One time was the same place where I was actually the Himalaya. I'll be coming back to this place a few times now because it's very special. So the same place where I had this experience with the Lama, I was listening a lot and doing a lot of meditation in the forest, and I was listening a lot to some really beautiful classical recordings of Indian classical music flute, the bansuri, the bamboo flutes, and this particular recording was by Hariprasad Chaurasia. The title of the album was Flying Beyond, and it was Raga Malkans. And it was only the melody without tabla. You can find it on YouTube and probably on Spotify, but YouTube, the recording is there. It was on cassette, so you had two sides, 2 times half an hour. But there I really went into deep meditation into this music, and I could really sense all the different levels. I mean, we can call it chakras or energy points or conscious points in your body which have different energy,
energy
levels
vortexes.
Words always fall short to the truly. So that's why the experience and deeper experience of it, I think, is more important, because words we can all copy. Now I can use the word vortex, but I don't really truly know what it truly means. So there I experienced it on a very beautiful, profound level. And then not long after that, I had to go back from Himalaya to Delhi and then back to Holland. But I took a bus. And somehow I almost missed my bus. I was way too late. And then when I came to this bus, my seat was taken. So they put me on another seat, which was right in front next to some sadhu, a spiritual master from India. And I was sitting next to him, and almost immediately I fell asleep. Somehow, not fully asleep, but more this like, how you say that, lucid dreaming kind of state. And I felt this man was teaching me different sounds, again, for the same different energy levels in my body. So I was in this lucid dreaming state, and I got all these vowels to come with each particular energy level. And it was also such a profound, deep experience of the power, the healing power of sound related to our body, and much beyond, because it's much more than it. It's our whole existence of our human experience. And yeah, it connected me to a much vaster world of existence of this body. The body is finally much bigger than just this physical body. And then relating that to my own music in my tabla. Tabla is not even melody, but of course I play with a lot of melodic instruments. But my tabla also, the experience, I've been doing it 30 years now, and my teacher was very known for his, we call it nikas, which means his quality of sound production, the way he touches his instrument. It was a unique way and very warm. And he used to say also, put a little more love in your stroke, So I'm still on the path of really going deeper and deeper into that state of where I can really experience my sound or sound of music and being there myself into that same depth that I experienced in the Himalaya. And in Indian instruments, there's a lot of overtones usually. In the tabla, there's a beautiful range of overtones. And overtones somewhere are, to me, a bridge towards the intangible world. Sound fills the room, but overtones somehow they connect to a non-physical realm. And if we put our focus there, in that sound realm that's beyond our physical realm, I don't know, you're there. And then that can deepen and bring us deeper inside.
Yes. It is also that our body is this bridge between tangible and intangible. And even us, we are sound. We are vibration, we are sound. So that's why I love music is just the expression of kind of this inner sound. And this inner sound at the same time is the sound of the sacred. So it's all very much interwoven, and it's just it's almost like the divine is expressing itself through us, right? So it's just like this continuous ripple and learning from the more subtle experience and through the physical, and then this exchange that happens. And I just would love for everyone to kind of be able to tune into their ability to feel and experience these things as if it was waves that come through the outside in, and to kind of really be able to experience it through the subtle layers of the body into the body, and then kind of integrating that inside, and then being able to express it again. I just feel like that's what sound really has been a teacher for me, of how can I just receive from something that I don't see, but something that I can just feel, and how amazing that is for my own understanding and growth. and how can I learn from sound. So definitely sound as a bridge. And and I think also it's a lot about finding clarity. So maybe places like the Himalayas just have this level of clarity that is available there, and this level of ancient teachings that are available there, and that we can learn from, and somehow are even in that space. So I don't know, how did that space, for example, inspire you to create new music? I imagine it also gave you inspiration to create in some new forms.
Well, it's mostly, as I said, I mean, just the fact that I experienced that deeper power and bridging possibilities of sound, of sound itself, of music itself, of melody itself, the meditative consciousness that sound can bring. I think particularly Indian classical music is very well suited for that. But also the nature around, yes, that created a lot of space for creativity. But it's more the consciousness of that inspires, keeps inspiring me my whole life. It's not only that was more creativity. I think it was more about, as you say, there's more space and clarity for this hearing. I wanted to say feeling, but it is actually the thing that's constantly popping in my head now in this conversation is hearing. We have to listen. I'm listening to you, and listening is also, okay, that's another topic, very interesting. Yes, few topics then I can talk about related to Indian culture and art, since, yes, sound, we are all basically sound, means everything, the whole world is vibration. Science has proven it. In India, they have been knowing it for thousands of years. We have the concept of Om, A-U-M, the all-pervading primal sound, which we can call, in India, you call it Nada Brahma. Nada means vibration. Brahma is the all-pervading godliness or energy. So Nada Brahma means the whole existence is vibration, is sound. Vibration is sound, basically. So the whole existence is sound. Science has proven it now, so that's very beautiful knowledge, and I'm sure we will learn as humankind much more about this in a deeper way. Also, listening to nature, I think, is very important. But then in our music, we have a word called Shruti. Now, this is very often translated to microtones in the melody. But it's more about intonation than translating it to microtones. It's about intonation. And intonation, it's a very fine line on how we do the intonation in our classical Indian music. It's a unique way of intonation. As each culture has its own unique way of intonation, Indian music has its particular way. But the word Shruti, it comes from the old Vedic world, and it literally means a spiritual hearing. Like all the texts of all the mystic masters, the rishis, the maharishis, every knowledge, all the knowledge that they've gained and shared with us, it was called Shruti. So they heard it from a very deep meditative space. And that is, listening. And it comes very much from the Himalaya. A lot of the rishis, they came from the Himalaya. The yogis, they all meditated in the caves in the Himalayas and high up in the snow even. But to me, it's very much about hearing and learning how to listen on a very, very deep level, listening to yourself, listening to other people, listening to nature, listening to energy, trusting the energy. It's listening to the inner voice. to me is the most important in life. There is, and sometimes the inner voice, the inner speaking is very loud, but sometimes it's just so soft and gentle, and so you almost can't hear it, and it's very easy to run over it. But it's so nice. I'm talking to myself also in this one. It's so nice if at all moments we can stay in that, listening to that voice state of being. I think to me that's one of the most essential parts of sound. It's that inner voice.
Yes. It's the depth, and it's the learning, as you were saying, learning to listen, learning to hear as the fundamental starting place to be able to create anything. So to be able to really go into that very deep space of profound listening and meditation almost, and really space of connection to the sacred aspect of reality, and to be able to then draw from that and express through that, and so learning how to hear and how to listen. And I guess that's a way that for me also in my journey, it's been, meditation has been fundamental to that, and being in nature has been fundamental to that. I would say those two aspects probably like inseparable. Nature and meditation, kind of like really the ways to really learn to be in your essential core and being able to listen. And even now where I am, it's like it's full of water, and it's full of birds, and it's full of insects, and the fact that you're constantly surrounded by these sounds, like you never get out of it. It's like you're constantly immersed in all kinds of birds and all kinds of insects and water, whether it is rain, whether it is water streams, like little rivers, or whether it's waterfalls. So whatever water you want to kind of see. There's also the sea a little bit more down. And you have this over and over during the day and during the night, especially also during the night where you're just laying down and you're in that dream space. To have those sounds, it's really incredibly regenerating. It's really, really fundamental, I think, for our nervous system and our immune system and our whole system to just recalibrate and realign and feel safe and feel good and feel, I think that's kind of a fundament of well-being, that ability to listen to the sounds of nature. And I wonder how our expression, our music, our creativity can be an extension to that, listening to nature, to the sounds around us and move through us.
I think it works a few different ways. No, one of the things is, first of all, as an artist, you learn to listen on a much deeper level. So to me, I started very late with music, when I was 20, 21. So to me, it was a tremendous discovery to start playing music and to really, tenfold my listening capabilities and refine and fine-tune and distinguish so much more into all the sounds we experienced all the time. It was such a rich experience. So, and that listening makes me much more connected to the world, especially in nature, as you say, like in meditation or nature, you can open and find that deeper listening. And that deeper listening in nature, to me, it has connected me so much more to nature, learning how to listen. And then connecting to nature means you're expanding your body, basically, your whatever, spiritual body, physical body even, I think, as a energy level, energy body. So as a performer, also an audience is taken along this journey of deeper listening. So I hope we all go much more to beautiful concerts and listen and really take the experience of this deeper listening. And I think artists have the responsibility also to really bring kindness. I mean, the topic is kindness. So that's again, like my teacher was teaching me, put more love in your strokes, put more love. I mean, we can stroke and be very virtuosic and correct and everything, but without that kindness, it's also pretty meaningless. So with that, I think it's responsibility for artists also to put that kindness in their music, because then when a listener is taken along this journey, it's from this place of kindness, and we can feel safe. In kindness you feel safe. So from that kindness, and we have this experience in a concert hall, for example, or in a beautiful church, and you're there with maybe 200 people or 2,000 people. But if that space is filled with sound, which is very kind and loving and has a depth to it and a precision and a beautiful soul, and somebody who's experienced in a deep listening as an artist, and that's brought together, and we dissolve, as we started our conversation, we dissolve into that unity where there's no performer existing anymore and no audience, because we're all dissolved in this experience of sound, and it's coming from a place of kindness and depth that can bring to much more connection. I mean, it's already there in that moment, but once you've experienced that, I think your world opens, especially if it's on a very deep level. I mean, you came to our concerts, and the artist I performed with was Ustad Sabir Khan. He's an amazing sarangi maestro, and he has that mystical depth of performance also. And I think, when we're all part of that, you take something away. That's why we're talking.
Absolutely.
We were there and we were not there.
Yeah, it stayed with me a lot, that performance, and that's why I was excited to have this conversation, because I feel it's so, I said, again, I think there is so much noise in the world at the moment. There is so much noise as in terms of something that is completely disrupting our natural systems, our bodies, our well-being. It's very aggressive, it's very violent. There is a lot of that in the collective, in the world, and in many things that we are constantly engaging with. And I believe that, as you say, a sound, a music, a shared moment, a shared frequency, a shared energy that comes from kindness, from intention, that comes from depth, that comes from sacredness, that comes from love, as in really the wish to be connected to everything openly and benevolently. I think that changes you at a deep core. It makes you feel safe, it makes you feel welcome, it makes you feel ecstatic, it makes you feel open, it makes you feel more in your heart, more in your soul, more in your purpose. And I think that's the ultimate goal of art, or whatever, art as just the expression.
It's the goal of life, I think. We have to feel home in our hearts, yes, and in ourself, in our loving being.
Absolutely. Yeah, the art of life, the whatever expression you're giving to it. And I think there is a lot of, for me, a kindness that is selfless, and that it's just something that it's also very honest and very and can be very raw, and can be just very deep in that space. And I do hope people get to experience that more, and and listen to more of that sound, to see more of that beauty, to be witness to that beauty.
Absolutely, yes. Yes. And the amazing thing is it's all around. I mean, I chose art, and I love art, and I love music, and I think Indian classical music is the most beautiful music in the world. And to me, it's a very direct vehicle for this particular aspect. It doesn't mean that by nature all Indian music has it, but has a strong possibility to carry this energy and power. And yeah, if you look at great masters, especially of the olden days, and with that kindness, that is a great vehicle. So to me, that's one of the best human ways of getting there. But listening to nature, to birds, whatever inspires you on a deeper level, I think I've experienced it even, like, if you sometimes, I didn't experience it much, and I'm sure people are specialized in this, but at some moment I was really listening to some birds, and they really speak to you. They really talk to you. If you know how to listen, it's a very delicate thing also, and I think it requires a lot of practice or openness or ability to be very receptive to different sorts of communication. I mean, trees can give. So it's learning to listen is a beautiful art, and all humans are different. So, I mean, I would love the whole world to listen to classical Indian music and go deep in that and learn from that. But I know also that each human is designed differently and resonates with different voices. But I think the thing is to truly listen on a very, very deep level with a kind heart, and all information comes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so much wisdom comes through that. And I'm sure who's going to be listening to this conversation, there are birds here and there that are flowing into it. And I mean, I'm always just so in awe by that symphony. You know, it's, for me, I'm in awe by the symphony that is created by the natural organic sounds. It's a music by itself. It's like a beautiful composition, and it has everything there, and it has different voices. And when you sing to it, also you can receive back. Like, there is so much exchange. Right, so you can, as you were saying, they're so sentient beings, like, they're such, I mean, we really are not that intelligent species, right? So it's like all these species around us, they have a wonderful cosmic intelligence too. They are part of the wonderful cosmic intelligence. So we can all have a dialogue. We can all have a dialogue with one another. And I think it's beautiful that each one of us definitely finds its own unique channel of listening and hearing and tuning into that voice, that inner compass, that inner space of devotion and clarity and understanding. And I definitely think it's also a relationship to create with that inner voice. And I do think everything in life is creative, because it is, but I love the way, maybe because being an artist, I love the way how the arts provide you a tool to express that inner voice and to be in that dialogue and to lose yourself in it. So to really kind of explore that dialogue constantly, because you're constantly in that space of relationship with the inner voice and the voices beyond, and to cultivate that. And I think what right now might be really important for people is to actually be able to take space and time to listen to that, because I realize that hearing is something that also requires silence. So I don't know how that feels for you, but I felt like I learn to hear more when I take more time in silence.
I mean, you're talking about inner silence, basically, I think. So
also outer silence.
Also outer silence. For me, it's inner silence, really. It's just shutting down my inner rational voice. As soon as that shuts down, but it was more about learning to listen to that voice that's sometimes loud, sometimes soft. So it's not even about, it's silence. I would say it's more, to me, it's more peacefulness. I mean, also silence. You have to silence the rational mind. Or not dive into it, basically. I mean, it's another big topic, of course, how to come to silence, to inner and outer silence.
Because I believe to learn to be able to listen and hear and receive, there is a switch that has to happen in terms of being able to have the space to listen to that voice, as you're saying. So to cultivate that inner silence, or cultivate the spaces where you can really become receptive, especially for maybe someone who has never had the opportunity to take time with that. Because I mean, it's a step-by-step process where maybe it's also to start asking, where is this voice? What is this voice? How does it sound like? Right? And I don't know how it is for you. Have you ever been engaging much with, since it's part of the Indian tradition, have you been engaging much with mantras and the power of sound in that way?
Well, my tabla is, to me, like a mantra, because when you practice it, you have to speak. And you recite, and like 50% of tabla practice is reciting and repeating all the different parts of the repertoire. And it's abstract and it's sound, and you really have to say it and live it. And so I've done tens of thousands of hours of doing this. So that's kind of my mantra experience. But when you started this particular topic, I first came to, again, the Himalaya. The first time I came there, I met this hippie from Hawaii, beautiful person. And he took me to a Tibetan Lama for like 10 days. We went every day and we sat down and learned meditation. And so I learned to meditate, a very simple thing with pranayama, like a breathing technique, very simple. And at the end of those sessions, we used to recite the mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. So I do have experience of that, but mostly the meditation actually truly helped me. In those 10 days, we did it every day, but it didn't affect me so much. But there was this very little inner voice that told me, keep doing. Maybe there's something good there for you. So I kept doing it, and after a month or 2 months, I truly experienced a deeper state of mind, very much the possibility, the ability of not going into my rational mind, not going into my thoughts too much. I could choose. And still, it's fantastic. I still do it, and I still use the technique to not get lost in your rational mind and step out of it and just be. And then this silence comes where you can really listen, and then the inner voice, that if it's something very soft, you can hear it. But I learned it from meditation. And the mantra part, it's my tabla is the mantra, I say. So I understand very much the power of mantra. And I lived, when I started studying my tabla, I lived in a small village with a very holy temple. The soul of Shiva was buried there, and it was a village where you had these Brahmins who had for thousands of years have been reciting the Vedas, the mantras, the shlokas, and they were still doing that. And to hear that repetition and sound, it becomes, I'm doing rhythm, I'm doing tabla. So it becomes rhythm with intonation and with words and sounds, and you produce, and that power is the same as I do with my tabla, like so we had to recite it hundreds of times and with the right intonation and right intensity, and finally you have to do it with kindness, of course, because you have to play it with kindness, not aggressive. No, it's terrible. You don't want to give your audience that, So we have to be kind, but we have to do thousands of hours of repeating that and saying that, and something happens to you when you do that. I mean, you cannot think of other things, so it's also part of the whole meditative process. It really, it's a very, how you say, easy way of shutting out the mind and really focusing on sound, on listening, because you have to produce sound. And if you truly listen, you shut down the mind, the rational mind. You start you're also active with the voice. You speak, and somehow there's a magic also in creating sound and bring it out. It's also, I had to learn to speak out loud. Not. If you do it like that, nothing happens. And if you do it inside yourself, like same with mantra, if you do it inside yourself, it's different. If you really speak it, it starts to live, and the vibration, your whole body vibrates, which has an effect. I don't know the exact effects of that, but the repetition and vibration, well, I know a little bit about the effects. I relate all this to the concept I was mentioning earlier, Nada Brahma. The whole world is sound, and Om is the three sounds, A, U, M. Om. If you recite that, you feel your whole body vibrates, and it really centers your whole being. So I think whatever mantra you say, and if you do it with the same intention and kindness, and especially speak it out loud, it will bring you in a state of meditation and inner silence where you can learn to listen. I mean, when you're doing it and you speak it out loud, you also have to listen to yourself. So you have to listen to this sound. I mean, your body is resonating and you're vibrating. You are listening to that sound, so it opens your ears. You're not thinking, rational mind is out. So it's a wonderful way of learning how to listen. So mantras, that's to me the essence of mantra.
Wonderful, yes. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think it's this whole idea of repetition and ritual, and then it allows you to completely exit or just release the rational mind and be in that flow, be in that receptive space, be in that void, or however you want to call it. Again, names are very tricky because it's something that you have to experience. It cannot really be told.
I agree. Yeah, it's like what in the beginning of our conversation, what I said about this guru when I was sitting in the bus and he was teaching me different vowels for the different energy levels. Now I know there is a knowledge about that. So also they have different effects. But it's too easy to, I mean, people have made all these schedules like, this sound is there and this sound is there. But the true knowledge, I don't think it's not there. It's only there to be experienced by somebody and learned either from a true, really sincerely kind master, not only a master who says he knows it all, but truly kind master who really sincerely can share, because, I don't know, it is a subtle knowledge which is not a scientifically proven thing. So it's very hard to put your finger on what is really true. But yes, there is knowledge beyond what I just said about repeating and just saying your mantra, but different sounds have different effects on your body or your different energy levels.
Yes, I mean that's the tricky part for me always, like the communication is very limited because there is so much more wisdom in what is experienced. And because this is just one way of communicating, but then there is this whole other spectrum of all of the other senses and all of the other things that are happening and that are part of the experience and that are part of something that, as you said, when you sit down next to was it a lama in the airplane, it was the information you received was not
it was in the bus. Was a
in the bus.
sadhu.
Right,
a
it was a sadhu in the bus, and but what you received was really just by his presence, right? So it was his field of energy that has already been so filled of all of this wisdom, and you received it through that, and you were in this kind of dream state that you were allowing the information to come through. And that is something that you can only understand through the experience. There is nothing that you can tangibly, logically grasp, because also our inner voice, it's gonna lead us all into its own path. And it's amazing, like there is not one path which is the same. There is not one path which is already told, because it's a constant narration that is being formed with you and through that experience, which is something so precious, I believe. I mean, the preciousness of just being the witness and the receiving all of this beauty and wisdom that is available in the world and making it your own story. Wow, that's incredible. So I hope everyone who's here tuning in with us, it's really gonna be able to learn more about that inner voice and inner space, and to also find the courage to listen to that, because I think there is a big part of it that it requires a lot of courage to step out of the linear and logical thinking and to give space to the kindness, to the heart, to the soul that wants to emerge, that is emerging. I think it's sometimes not celebrated enough, the courage that it takes to make those little steps of listening to oneself and being able to go a little bit further with that intuitive side, that it's leading you on the path. And many blessings to that, and where it's leading you, right? And how wonderful that you haven't followed the logical path, and now you're here to experience all this beautiful wisdom that is shared with you.
Thank you very much. Yes, no, I think it's, to me also, is from the moment I started to hear that or to be open to that voice, like on my journey first to Pakistan and India and meeting these mystical experiences. Once you truly experience it, there's no way back, I believe. I think it's... So I hope that can give a lot of, trust and confidence in a lot of people to open up to that subtle kindness. And I think it starts with kindness to yourself, maybe. Take time for yourself, being kind to yourself, very loving. And as soon as you open to that loving space, or to any experience that's meant for you. There was one Indian saying that came to my mind now. It's "Dane dane par likha hai khane wale ka naam," which means on each grain of or each grain of rice is written the name of the person for whom it's supposed to be. Like, as we all want to be free and all this, we want, but finally, it's all about receiving also, trusting also in receiving. And somewhere if something happens in our life where that connects, whether it be good or bad experience, sometimes a bad experience can open that particular feeling also. But then we can trust the process. And once we've I think if we have experienced to hear that kind, I mean, we call it inner voice, but it's from somewhere else. But it manifests maybe as an inner voice. So when that's happening, I don't think there's a way back. I hope really, because to me it has brought me the most beautiful journey in life, which is ongoing, and I keep meeting people, connecting to people. Feeling very grateful every day for all that happens and comes to me. Even the negative things, it transforms in how you view all that, which helps for inner peace and therefore connecting to the outer world. And
it's an expansion. An expansion is it happens on many levels. So it's not only, can't really label it as good and bad. It's just a broader spectrum of experience. And I think that includes everything. It includes a very wide range of emotions and a very wide range of possibilities. And it's beautiful to be open to that. And yeah, thank you for sharing this with us today and all. And yeah, I think it's a good place for me to maybe end this conversation, and with this wish of learning to listen and hear and dive deeper, and I hope, and also to go and listen to more concerts and be more involved with music and supporting the artists that you like, supporting the what you really want to see more of in this world, and doing more of what we want to bring to this world. So I hope everyone opens up to that and is able to really find their compass. Thank you so much.
Is that a butterfly flying around you?
No.
Some other animal. The word that we started this whole thing with, and everything you say is very beautiful and true, but all this, being involved, listening to music, going to concerts, and I think all this definitely we need to listen to nature, but with the finest, most delicate sensation of kindness towards ourselves, kindness towards the bird we hear, kindness towards the person we sit next to in the concerts, kindness from the performers to audience. Deeper kindness was the topic of this talk. Yes. So everything we talked about, I think, is all based around the theme of kindness. And I want to thank you for that. And it is on my journey since a long time, and I've expressed it even in that way. I mean, why am I here on earth? What am I doing? I'm here to share love and kindness. And it's an ongoing journey. I can't say I'm doing that. No, it's every day I allow myself to tune into that. I have to allow, I want to be there more and more in that space, in my music, in my art, in my performance, but also in all that I encounter and all that I receive and all that I hear in the outer world and the inner world.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that kindness that you are receiving and that you are expressing, and that is, yes, it's such a medicine to the world. So thank you very much for that.
Wholeheartedly. I'm grateful to the universe for everything that it gives from this world and beyond. It's really a gift. It's really, it's for me also to listen to the world beyond this world. It still is a huge gift or a huge realization, a huge human responsibility now, since I feel and know it. I really feel it as a sort of responsibility to honor that also in daily life. It's part of this whole kindness.
Absolutely. It's a course of kindness, exploration. Thank you so much.
Thank you. That was synchronized. That's beautiful.